Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and deceased. It is I, Emily Sophia, here to break down for you guys the penultimate episode of the first half of Season 6 of The Walking Dead. We are on The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 7, Heads Up, and spoiler alert before I dive into the mad thick of things, as I shall be bearing on this review. I took a lot of weird breaths in saying those sentences, but anyways, let us get going. I actually did not realize that we were this close to the mid-season break. Really should have seen it coming, since there's been a lot of news and updates and releases about what's coming in the second half of the season, and the holidays are right around the corner, of course, so I should have seen it. I have the ability to count, but I don't have the ability to really think properly, so best of luck to you as you listen to the rest of my review. But anyway, so this caught me off guard in a big way. But yeah, definitely a lot of delightful adventures and misadventures ensued. We got some answers. We set up a lot of drama and really dwelt in the midst of some tension that's been brewing this season. And then the clock tower fell and all is not well, and here comes hell for everyone. That's my beautiful song. You're welcome for that. But yeah, so let's take a brief overview of all of the major events that we witnessed in this episode. First of all, Glenn's alive. I think that that's probably more or less something that everybody ended up figuring out via their own intuition, or recognizing the ways in which our senses of perception were played with in the scene where Glenn appeared to be getting his guts ripped out, and well, we got to revisit that delightful moment, but from a different perspective that afforded us a more telling view of the fact that it was not Glenn's body being torn apart. That he did, in fact, have a garbage bin to hide underneath. And then cue the arrival of Enid. So that was indeed a very interesting series of events. It was good to finally get some closure on that ridiculous cliffhanger. Cliffhanger. I think that should be a new term. I really do. I think we need to incorporate that into our TV dictionaries. A cliffhanger is a cliffhanger that makes you angry. And I very much think that was the case with what happened with Glenn. So yeah, and this was an interesting way to bring Enid back into the story. I mean, I feel like it kind of would have been a bit of a waste of her character if she was not woven back in this way. So the fact that she plays a part in bringing Glenn back, and that the two of them are now making the journey back to Alexandria in the nick of time. I say that in a questioning voice because I don't know if this is going to turn out well for either of them. But it appears that Glenn has a renewed sense of I'm trying to think of what the wording is. A renewed sense of urgency about the need for people to bond together, to hold down the home front, to stick it out for other people. And so pretty much the bulk of the time that Glenn and Enid spend together, Glenn is trying to instill within her that same sense that other people do matter, and that the world, in fact, is not just trying to die, or that it should not be allowed to simply die. But maybe, just maybe, there's a way to fight back against this seeming chaos and destruction. I mean, these are themes that have been dealt with since the show got off the ground, but it's always interesting to hear them presented in a different way and with different characters who you wouldn't expect to see together. And hey, they found some free balloons, so they were able to, right before that devastating moment in the final minute and a half of the episode, they got to let up a little sploosh of balloons to show everyone that they're okay, and Maggie knows just what it means. So that is a little bit of happiness right before the ball drops. I have to say that was quite a fantastic switch. They really played with my expectations. I thought we were totally going to end on this light and happy note, and that we would come back and swing it next time, but they decided to just throw in a little extra spice there, as they are, as they often do. So yeah, Glenn and Enid are in the picture. Glenn is in the picture. Big things. Now, my favorite aspect of this episode specifically was just everything kind of revolving around what's going on with Rick right now. And I will explain that because Rick, for being one of my absolute favorite characters on the show and such a strong lead, he's definitely a bit of an asshole. Like, if this episode did anything, it is stress the fact that Rick is so staunchly, possibly in the wrong. I mean, the show hasn't given us a lot to love with the Alexandrians. We've seen them do more stupid things than intelligent things, so it's tough for us to feel a sense of sympathy for the people who Rick is trying to protect. He kind of makes it clear that he's about his own people. And he is still, to this day, differentiating between his group and everybody else. So there's this sense of othering that Rick is very strongly projecting, as is evidenced by the fact that he promptly tears down the prayer circle announcements that Father Gabriel tries to put up, as is evidenced by the fact that he doesn't know how to take a thank you from Deanna for, the stuff with her son and just all these things. And then the guy who's trying to help him stabilize the wall is like, don't give up on us yet. And Rick's just like, yeah, whatever. He's just oozing disdain for these people. And I kind of love it. He's not a guy who backs down easily. He sees this weakness and he sees that, yeah, presently they're all more or less trying to work together towards a common goal, but he sees the difference in their abilities, in their experiences, in their, past, quite frankly. Michonne is trying to bring him into the present day where it's like, okay, these people maybe are finally gaining skills, and we need to stop doing this whole othering stuff and see all of us as one people. I mean, this is a theme that is so freaking relevant to the world at large right now. So the way that it plays into the show is really fascinating, and it just goes to show that just because Rick is a lead character and knows how to be a leader, he's not intrinsically completely through and through a good guy. He's really not. He's got a lot of shame in his soul these days, but it makes him a very fascinating character because we kind of have to struggle with him. We can't simply side with him all the time. And we can't... Yeah, that's basically what I want to say about that. So... Also, he confronts Morgan along with Carol and Michonne as to what went down with the wolves that ended up attacking Rick out in the woods. And I really like the way that confrontation scene played out. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my syllables and consonants here. But anyways, yeah, Lenny James played that scene so fabulously because he could have gotten belligerent. He could have gotten out of line, he could have lashed out, he could have been like, you people don't understand. But no, he's asking all of these questions because he's trying to figure out how to integrate the worldview that saved his life and changed him into the way that the world works today, into where he is. He's like, can I fit here? Do I fit in the world? Like, how do I take this idea that all life is precious and actually apply that in my actions without putting other people's lives in jeopardy? He's really grappling with these things. And unfortunately, I mean, the whole confrontation is not enough for him to put the wolf down, but in fact, he grabs Denise and is trying to go attend to the imprisoned wolf's infected wound. And guess who catches him on the way to that little errand is the ever-insightful Carol. So even though she's doing a little bit of babysitting and talking to Jesse's mopey child about how you gotta kill to not be a monster, I mean, she is so on the opposite side of the spectrum compared to Morgan. It's not even funny, but when we last see her, she's on her way to, hunt down the wolf that they're going to attend to, and inevitably that's going to result in problems. Although now that the tower has fallen, it's like all of these problems that we are seeing unfold and that the episodes seem to be building up to, we have no idea how these things are going to play out. It's not going to be cut and dry because now not only are they going to be facing one another and the threats that their fellow man pose, but you throw the dead in the mixture and it's going to get that's a powder keg of action for you right there. But yeah, so something else that I really liked about the episode is the fact that we have these two characters who I think maybe we more or less equally like, Morgan and Carol. They're both on complete polar opposite sides of the paradigm of killing and not killing and what makes you a monster. They do not eat from the same pot of stew, shall we say. I don't know why that's the metaphor I use, but I'm rolling with it. Yeah, so it makes me really nervous and scared because it's like, are the two of them going to be able to coexist? What's going to happen next? There's really no way of telling at this point because now they're completely exposed. There's a gap in their primary defenses and a heck of a lot of walkers outside. So how are they going to be able to resolve this situation? And how are they going to be able to resolve all the other situations that were already unfolding? I mean, heck if I know. But yeah, so just tons of stuff happened in this episode, and I'm feeling really just intrigued by it all. It's good to know that Maggie was able to get a glimmer of hope, that people are trying to move forward, that people are dealing with these things that are coming to surface, and even Rosita, oh my gosh, that's her name, right? I did not mess that up. She's been in the show for too long for me to mess that up, but she confronts Eugene while she's giving a stabbing lesson to her fellow Alexandrians and others, and really gets to the heart of, like, what are you afraid of? You should really be more afraid of living knowing that you haven't done everything you could possibly do to protect those around you. So she really drives the point home, and I know that she's anxious too because her man is out there. And well, with another woman that he's interested in, little does she know. But yeah, so Abraham and Sasha and Daryl. So there's still a bit of separation anxiety afoot, but we are getting some answers, we're getting some momentum, and now we got more problems. So these are all prime ingredients for what's going to be a deliciously insane final episode. I feel like there are other things that I'm missing. Oh yeah, and Ron's got a gun and he's got some bullets, which I definitely saw coming. So he was hot on the heels of Carl right around the time that the tower fell. So is he going to have time to do the dirty deeds that he wants to do? Or is he going to be sent running like everybody else? I mean, who knows at this point, but I so knew that was coming, and he is so the worst possible kind of person, and precisely the reason why I continue to find it easier to side with Rick and his crew than the Alexandrians. But this episode really brings to light all of the different issues that our core group has with the community, and what does it really mean to be a part of something? What is it? Does it mean anything now to be a part of the human race, or what little fraction of it still exists? Like, how do you put those differences aside and feel like you can actually bond together for a common goal? Because Rick doesn't see these people as capable of striving for that goal. Sure, he more or less values human life, but he sees himself and some of his core team members as the only people who can really bring about world change and, get things done, more or less. I mean, he freaking goes ham on Tara for putting her life on the line. And then she brings it to his attention that, dude, this is what we're supposed to do, right? Help each other out. So it's really interesting to see Rick put in this position, to see the ways that everybody is trying to make sense of the world. These continued ideas and the new ways in which they're represented in the season have made season 6 generally one of my favorites. We've had some iffy episodes in the recent past, but I am willing to lay all that aside to be excited as crap for the finale, and it's gonna be good. So I look forward to getting there with you all for doing some more reviews in the future, Twin Peaks, Life is Strange, and of course a spoilery review of Jessica Jones down the line. So thank you guys for all being so wonderful and splendid. Leave your thoughts and anything that I happen to miss in the comments. Be happy to address amongst yourselves, or maybe I can join. As always, I will be back before you know it.